Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Erudition Network. Welcome to the Erudition Network Interactive Black History and Knowledge Session. I am your host for this session, as I am every Thursday, Eddie Phillips, and I am happy to be here this evening. If you are new to this program, we use this program to cover Black history, things that you may or may not have heard about, and go into a deeper level of understanding our cultural history, and providing you things that aren't often discussed. Every Thursday I take the time every Thursday to come on to do this program specifically for those reasons. And I am happy to say that we have been doing this market last week for about 3 years now. That's a significant amount of time, and I am very, very happy that we have maintained consistency with this program and allowing people to use it as a platform of learning and growing their knowledge. Thursday evenings are the time in which we decided to do this for scheduling reasons. And I, have tried to maintain that. I'm very happy with what we've been able to accomplish. I have recently published a new book, and I was able to see yesterday that the book is now being put out there globally. I saw an advertisement for the book in China, which was funny to me, and I'm seeing different markets over in Europe that have the ebook and the ability to run it. So it's very interesting that we're getting that global reach. It is an ebook, it is interactive, and I hope that people gravitate towards it so that they can learn more about Black culture, African culture, its roots, where it came from, and how it still impacts the world. It's not always discussed everywhere, and I want to make sure that we do that and that we take the time to get those things done and put out here to the world. So it's a very, very exciting time for me. It is one of the first history books that thank you. Thank you for joining us, Tina. That I've put out ever. I spent a lot of time teaching and going over history, but this is the first time that I've actually written any type of book, and it is the first in a series of books. And I tried to do something very different. I tried to make it interactive. I tried to make it a quiz book for you, while at the same time making it something that you can learn with. If you go back to episodes that we've done over the last few weeks, you will be able to go and actually see how interactive the book is. I think I'm going to create a small, it's on my face, advertisement so that you can see the interactive nature of the book. But now it's on Amazon. It should be on Barnes and Noble, I think, by the end of this week. And you will be able to download that book from any of the places where you go out and get your ebooks and things like that. We are also waiting on the print book so that can be put out here. But I will emphasize to the audience while I'm talking about this book, to you all who may watch this later, the pull of this book is to make it interactive. If you are one of the people who have purchased it, say from Lulu Books, because you can still go and get it from the publisher, from Lulu Books, and you will still get the ebook immediately. If you're one of those people who have purchase that, you will notice that this book is interactive. It asks a question, you answer it. If you get it wrong, it'll tell you that you got it wrong. You can get a hint from it, and then it will give you the answer if you answer it correctly, and it gives you a detailed answer with sources and everything for you to go grow your further learning. So I can't emphasize enough how much effort was put into making this book a learning device. It is an $18 book. It is $18 because if you were to go on the market right now, you will find that this book has more references than some history books. And you will find the history books usually run the gamut of $50 to $120. So for me to price it at $18 for you to learn is a significant discount going into it that will allow you to. People always ask me, well, Eddie, how do I learn more about Black history? Where do I start? How do I start to go and look through our history to learn things? Well, that right there with all of those sources gives you at least a starting point to go learn about early African history before 1619. Let me say that again. Before 1619, before the enslavery, before the slave trade, triangle slave trade, before any of that, it will talk to you about kingdoms and knowledge and things that affected African people and their ability to interface with world culture, something that we are not often reminded of. So I want you to do that, and I want you to go out and get that book. If you don't, if you don't know what the name of it, I will put a link in the feed again today, telling you where you can go get it, rather it be Amazon or whatever, and how you can obtain this great work. Please, if you do go out, say, even if you go buy it on Amazon, leave us a review. Let me know what you think of this book. Let me know what you got from it, because I want you to learn. And as we go through these other books, as we start going through other things, as I'm writing more about medieval time and getting up to modern time, I want you to know where let me know, hey, did this help you? Is there a better way to convey this information to you? I want to know that as I go further and trying to do this. Here is the book on Amazon. You will notice it is, again, $18. If you have any kind of deals or whatever, say you are a bibliophile and you actually buy a lot of books, you may even get a discounted version of the book for $15 or whatever, where they will add things to it to make it cheaper for you. So if you go out and you get this book, I'm telling you, you will be blessed by it. There is a sample that Amazon puts up that shows you kind of how the book is laid out. So you do get a chance to see some of the, not all, but some of the preview of the book, and showing you some of the questions that are in there. So you do get a chance to go in and look and see what it is that you're getting. And as I said, this is robust. This is not just a quick 25-page quiz book. The page length by Kindle's version is 569 pages. 569 pages on your Kindle. as it links all of the different things that I put in there. So all I'm going to tell you is this: you will be blessed by this book. Please take the time. If you don't want to get it from Lulu, because you can get it on Lulu Books also, and that's another site where you can go and get not the Kindle version per se, but the ebook version of the book. Again, $18, same price on either site, and you can go in here and you can get this book. Just search Lulu Books or go through Amazon and look for the 101 Black History Question Challenge from the Erudition Network, and you will be able to acquire this book. As I said, it is out here. It is going global. We're seeing it on all different kinds of sites. With translations and everything else. Rakuten had it on their site. So it's out here. Be the one to go out here and get that book and start to learn, and then come back to the interactive and ask questions. Come back to the interactive and ask questions. All right. I think I've done enough of promoting the book tonight. Eric, good to see you. I don't know if you're still. Thank you. I see two people. I can only see two. It's still two people on tonight. Is it going to be a drinking game for this episode? Say it 20 more times in a row. Look, I don't like promotion. I always feel like things should promote themselves. But what I will say is that I have to make sure that we understand the importance of what it is that's being done. Every Thursday, I see our numbers on the interactive dwindle. I do get a chance to see that people watch it later, and I'm very appreciative of all of you who click on to watch the program later. But as an interactive program, it every Thursday we see less and less people coming on. And now here's the thing: I'm not angry about it, because as I've told you all before, I noticed that there are two other people who I watch who do I won't say as interactive as we do, who do programs on history, and they have about the same numbers, right? And so we can only hope that our message is getting out here. It is important. I'm saying because I'm really going off the cuff right now for what I'm saying, but I really want us to just be better at what we're doing and what we're learning. All right. For some of you all in here tonight, I'm going to open up the door. This is something that we're going to start doing every episode, where I'm going to put out here to you. You have the opportunity to ask questions, start the conversation. As I said, this is an interactive program. So whatever you want to ask, whatever you want to bring up, whatever you questions on history that you have maybe seen throughout the week or at some point in time, I want you to take this time to ask those questions. So if you have a question, please drop it in the chat. This is the reason why I would like more people on it, be interactive. But as we are, we're going to go with what we have. If you have a question, drop it in here now. I promise you, we will not avoid your question. We will not avoid your question. So if you have something that is history related or world related, that has something to do with history in any kind, put it in here and we will go over it and we will talk about it. I'll give you about a moment or two, 30 seconds or so to do that while I talk about some other things, so that we can start moving the conversation. I want to start making sure I open up the door to interaction, because I think that a lot of times we learn by interaction, right? About getting involved and talking to each other and saying these different things. I know Easter's coming up. I received some questions on the life of Jesus, if Jesus was a real person. I got someone sent that to me, and I answered that. So whatever is your questions out here, please drop them in here, and I promise you we will answer them tonight. I'll give you about 2 more seconds, and then we're going to move forward in the program because I don't want to belabor the program tonight. All right, I guess you guys don't have anything. All right, so tonight, I want to talk about a couple of things. There are a lot of things going on, and it's painful. I really do try to not be as emotionally invested in a lot of these subjects, but it is a trying time right now. We we are, for the lack of a better word, under attack. And I don't know what we can do. I don't know what we can do um, to light a fire under people to understand the attacks and the effects of these attacks. The more we hide our history, the more we allow it to be taken from us through legislation, through um, state actions, through even local actions. It's affecting us. It is greatly affecting us. Um, we're starting to see, I noticed a strange situation, but it's not new, um, going on in even Chicago and Rockford. We had a situation where a young man was stabbed in a Walmart 2 or 3 days ago. And now we have another man going around stabbing people and killing people in their homes and abroad. And when I saw that, it made me reflect on incidents in the past racially of racial stabbings of African Americans being killed in the street and at large. What seemed to be random, but oftentimes uh, these attacks had a common issue of someone who considered themselves to be white or someone who was white attacking an African American for racial or bigoted reasons. And because we don't share our history, because we don't prioritize our history, um, we get into this situation where we relive some of these tragedies, we relive some of these horrors. And I personally am disgusted by it. I personally am very disgusted by it. We have my wife was talking to me about the NCAA tournament and racial threats and animus being thrown at basketball players um, who were playing in another city. And we're having all of these things going on, and the racism is continually getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And yet, many of us, we only gravitate to what is negative as a reactionary response to something that happens. We're not spending the time learning the history. And you have writers out here who are doing it, who are writing and trying to teach you. You have books and things and people out who are seriously out here trying to teach you. You know, it 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 just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. I was looking at some of our some of the things. I keep historical notes. People think sometimes I pull things off the top of my head, but I keep historical notes. And I constantly, when I see something in the media or if I see something, I go back and I go look at it. And I was picking up um, a situation with a man named Henry Argo in Oklahoma during a time before the advent of major media. More than 1,000 men showed up to take this 19-year-old boy in Oklahoma and lynch him. But what was significant about this situation is that this was after Tulsa, about 9 years after Tulsa, and the idea um, of dipping your knife in black blood, dipping your knife in black blood to say that you were there. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't emphasize enough. I can't emphasize to you enough how important it is to share history like that. Because if we are going through a situation now where we do talk about the inner city crimes that go on in places like Chicago, Detroit, New York, or whatever, but if we don't understand that you're being attacked alongside those who are bigoted, racist, angry, who feel underprivileged, who feel that they're not being, that attention's not being given to them, and you're going out here every day unarmed with facts and believing things that aren't necessarily truthful or good. I don't know. I don't know what to do, what else to do, but get on every Thursday and walk you through some of these things. I don't know how much I can do other than talking to you about a Henry Argo. I don't know how much I can do other than telling you that we're living in a time where racism is boldly, murderously attacking the young and the old without hyperbole. You can blame it on wherever you want to blame it on alt-right, conservatism, Trump, or whatever. You can say whoever you want to blame it on. The fact is that it's existing. And then a more prescient fact is the fact that we're being told that we can't even share our history. So kids who wouldn't have learned about these atrocities, about these horrors, won't know anything about it. They don't know anything about it. Every Thursday, I advertise through different markets, through LinkedIn, through different things. I put things out on Facebook for all the programs that we do here on Erudition. And every Thursday, I am surprised. I am surprised by people who ask me questions during the week, but I don't see them on the interactive and I invite them. I am surprised by how much and how little we know, but more so how little we want to know. That is the scariest part. How little we actually want to know. And because we don't want to learn a lot, So people will actually tell you, I don't want to learn. We go through these lies, through this foolery that ain't helping anybody. I had a conversation with a young man about 2 weeks ago who sent us a thing and asked me about racism in Indiana. And he said, Eddie, is it true? To which I said, yeah, it's absolutely true. The KKK reestablished itself in Indiana, in the Midwest. And so there are still families and people, not saying everybody in Indiana is that way, who live under their family who was actively strongly involved in the KKK. And so if you're dealing with racist situations in the Midwest that seem worse than they do in the South, in jobs and challenges and things like that, you shouldn't be surprised. Businesses were entwined, coal businesses, transportation businesses, railroad businesses. People have made fortunes in the Midwest in farming and everything else based on their allegiance and alignment with the KKK. That is historically factual. And if you go back and look in the 1920s when the KKK marched on Washington, you will know that Indianapolis was the hub of Klan power. But because we don't know that history, when we deal with someone being racist in some part of the country, we think that that is just a situation for that time and that era or that place. And we don't look at the fact, right, that there is history here. Strong history here. The KKK had a paper. It was called the Fiery Cross. It had thousands of subscribers. People still have, bookend collections of that paper with family members in it and things like that, that they keep as keepsakes of their culture, of their history. So when we hear that there are crimes being committed against people in Southern Illinois or people in parts of Indiana, and we act like, man, how is this possible? But we won't link. We won't link these realities all over our country. All over our country, because we cannot face our history. We cannot, and we will not. And every time I turn around and I'm telling people, hey, join us, let's talk about this, I can't seem to get anybody. Knifing, shootings, murders. We've seen so much murder and tribulation over the last, even if we look at the last 10 years. And we say we want to talk about these things because they're sensitive. Because they're sensitive. Policemen hit squads. Young kids getting shot down in the street. Young kids going to go look for help at someone's house and they taking shots at them. Maybe you all can tell me, what else can we do? I don't know. And I'm trying every day to not get to not get I had a conversation with my wife last week, and I said, I'm trying very hard to not get upset from I feel to be um, a malaise that is washing over us. The malaise that's washing over us. No, Teddy, we need all of those interactions. It is so hard right now for me to watch. I and then not to take things when I look at them and I look at them historically and go, man, we just don't seem to be getting it. We just don't seem to be getting it. We there was the attacks now on first off, we're not teaching history. Excuse me, we're not teaching history, but then we're warping history. We're warping it. We're telling people myths and lies, and they're accepting them. And then we're building historical landmarks because America's good at that too, of certain areas, but we're telling the story the way we want to tell it so that it doesn't hurt people's feelings who go there. You can go and visit the area of Custer's last stand, and they honor Custer and they make a landmark of where his troops fell. But the truth is, Custer rode in to massacre men, women, and children, predominantly women and children. And he was surprised by the men who showed up and they wiped out his regiment. But if you go and visit the site of Custer's last stand, we tell a completely different story. If you go visit the Alamo, we talk about how these patriots stood up against this huge onslaught, right? But what we don't talk about is that they were a bunch of people who were sitting there basically trying to perpetuate slavery and take land away from Mexico. That part's not told. Well, if you want to increase your knowledge and increase your sorrow, it is sad some things. But so here's the thing though. You can't ignore life. There is a reason why, even though, Teddy, even though we get taught history the way we get taught it, right? They want us to learn something to structure us or condition us to think of things in a certain way. That's just what it is. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know what more I can do other than what I'm already doing. And I don't want to get on the soapbox, and I'm trying very hard not to. But ladies and gentlemen, this job, this call, this need is difficult. Every Thursday, I dedicate my time to this program, and I love it. I love it. Don't ever get me wrong. But I dedicate my time, excuse me, to this program, and I'm often just blown away. I I tell myself that no, it's important and we have to do it. And I have to do what God has put me here to do, and I continue to do it consistently, and I will continue to do it consistently. But I am very, very sorrowful a lot of times that we just don't seem to prioritize, not in the whole. I ask people to share the program, share Erudition. We're writing books now. We're doing everything that we possibly can, and I'm going to continue to do what we do. But we better get it in our minds. We better start understanding that there is a reason why your history is under attack. If you don't want to get information from us, I hope that you're getting it factually and accurately from someplace else. Because if you're not, if your kids are not, that's going to be like Roy Jones talking about the Mike Tyson fight. And he said it's going to be problematic. It's going to be problematic. I open myself up to talk to you about history because I think we need to cover it. And sometimes I find myself repeating, but I do it because I know that it's important. I know we need it. And I watched some clips this past week on Dick Gregory, and I was like, man, he's talking about things, and almost everything that he had talked about within the last before the 5 years before he passed, almost everything that he talked about was accurate and on point. It's exactly what we're dealing with right now. And many of us did not listen to, nor will we listen to our ancestors or listen to wise. And I was like, man, I happen to gravitate, start listening to some of the things that he would put out during my time in Bahrain. And I said, man, he's putting it all out here on the line, and some things don't sound really quite correct, but at the most, he's trying to tell you what's coming. And you can't get people to even gravitate to talk to you about it. And I don't know why that is. Maybe you all can tell me. We take our time on Erudition to support every positive situation, every positive broadcast. We have a group of people who we greatly appreciate, and we share everything. I share so much on our network that is not just our shows, our programs. I share articles. I go in and if you go to the Erudition Network Interactive Black History and Sessions group, you will find files and different things there. Whatever it is that we can do to help our people grow their knowledge, we are trying to do. And I need your help because if anything tonight, I realized over the last few weeks, as I'm writing these books, so much has to be put into writing a book. My wife, the whole time while we were I was getting ready to do the early world history book, everybody kept asking me. They kept saying, "Eddie, Eddie, Eddie, um, when you gonna be done? When you gonna be done? When you gonna have it out? When it's gonna be?" And I kept saying, "This is a lot deeper than you think it is. This book has information in it that I don't think has been put out for. This book not only has the information, but it's going to give you places to go learn further. And then I'm going to do something because I always try to do something a little bit different. I said, I'm going to do it in a way where if it's going to be interactive, it's going to ask you a question, and you're going to be able to display it on your television, do it on your computers, send it to your family, do things that you can all play and learn together. That was the reason why we put it out as an ebook before a print book. We do I initially was going to do a program for Erudition, and what we were going to do is we were gonna record, everything that, we put out would be like a and I remember talking to my son, and I said, "Well, I don't wanna do that. I'm being led to do something different because if we just put it out as a recording and, I'm here just talking to people, but not actively involved, and that may not be good, right? Because what that's going to do is it's gonna make it isolated, and they can't get their questions answered in real time. So that is why we came up with this program format, which is the interactive, where you can ask those questions and I can respond in real time. And we've had all kinds of questions. We've had questions that are technical in nature. We've had questions that are historical in nature. We've had questions that are current events, all kinds of things. But the purpose was to grow the knowledge of people, right? To grow the knowledge of people. Even when we started and someone asked me, they said, Erudition, that's a really, maybe you need a more catchy name or whatever. And it was funny to me because I had went back and forth in prayer going, you know, what should I name this organization, right? But one thing I knew I was never going to name it was something that was modish, like woke or whatever. I wanted to do something that I thought was important to the nature of 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 erudition, um, what became erudition. So we named it erudition because that's what it means. Erudition means to learn, to grow, to understand, to be intelligent, to be taught, to be erudite, right? Um, I don't know if people know, but erudition also has core values, right? When I came, I came out of the Navy. So the Navy has core values. So I wrote core values down for this organization. And erudition's core values are holistic, which means full, holistic growth. Which means, yes, we talk about history. My wife talks about mental health. My kids talk about what's going on currently and problems and areas throughout the world. We try to give a holistic, full growth approach to learning and teaching. The first tenet in the erudition core values is holistic growth. The second one was efficacious, in other words, effective instruction. When we teach you something, we wanna make sure that it's effective and that you learn and that you have a source and that you can go in and find what we're talking about. It's not something that's made up. It's not something that I'm just telling you. We want you to be to have an effective instruction so that you, as an effective learner, can go and provide that information to someone else. And if you can't, at least be able to direct them towards an effective instruction or effective teacher that will teach them pedagogy that is actually valuable. The last one is egalitarian, equal honesty. We do not want to be dishonest. If you see or hear something on the program, I want you to challenge it. I want you to say, "Eddie, I saw this," because only through equal honesty can we ever grow. When we talk about holistic, efficacious, egalitarian, those are big words. Those are big words, but those are big words that have very, very wide meanings. That's why they are big words. The shorter the word, the more narrow the meaning. So I'm giving you a part of it when I say holistic is full. I'm giving you a part of it when I say egalitarian is equal. It's more than that. I'm giving you a part of it when I say if efficacious is effective. That's a part of it. People often ask, well, why do you use a big word when a small word can do? Because the big word means more. It has more of a more wider meaning than a focused, isolated meaning. What you learn through erudition is going to be valuable. And I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic. I'm not saying that to be narcissistic. I'm saying that because it has been proven. I have people who contact me who tell me, Eddie, I'm reading more books now than I ever had because you constantly give me a book, a source, a reference, someplace to grow my knowledge, to grow my knowledge. A lot of people don't know a lot of the things that we're talking about on this program, on this channel. When we start talking about empires and people, we've talked about so many things on this network. The Berbers, who were the Berbers, right? The Tuareg, the Mandinka, right? We've talked about the caliphates. We've talked about cultures like the Axum culture, the Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire. We've talked about so many different things, and I'm emphasizing to you the importance of it beyond what we learned with 1619. Through us and through these books and through the things that we're putting out, you're gonna know what Timbuktu is. You're gonna know what why Niani was an important capital. You're gonna know about the differences between the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah, and how all of those things involve us as a people, as a culture who has had input in all forms of religious understanding. We've talked about Master Musa. We've talked about Askia Muhammad. We've talked about the rise of the Muslim understanding in Africa. We've talked about the Christian understanding in Africa. We've given you so much that I don't believe you are getting anywhere else. I cannot believe you're getting it anywhere else. And it's effective. It goes back to those core values, efficacious, making sure you have knowledge to grow yourself, not just listen to me, sit here and bloviate to you, as my wife tries to say. When I first started this before she had to do this program, I'm sure she probably thought he's just talking for an hour. But now that she does it, she understands that that's not necessarily the case. We sat here a couple of weeks ago talking about the queens and different people, and I got responses back from people saying, "I knew about, Queen Hatshepsut, but I didn't understand her significance. I didn't realize she was the female pharaoh. I didn't understand, what who, Queen Teal was. I didn't know what these people's reference were. I remember being taught about, Queen Nefertiti in school, and I remember seeing statues of Queen Nefertiti, but not understanding how she was an important player in Egypt, and the idea, right, of taking Akhenaten's, belief in the sun god and pushing that softly to the Egyptian people. I heard about the Queen of Sheba, Makeda, but I didn't understand why she's important. I didn't understand the whole Solomonic empire that came out of her. I didn't understand the importance of frankincense and myrrh that was offered to the baby Jesus in the Bible, and where that frankincense and myrrh came from, and why it was important, and why it was valuable, and why it had to play a place in the adorning of a king, of a Messiah. We have done so much teaching, and it becomes frustrating. It becomes frustrating. And what I ask people, we do put a ticker. I put my ticker up today. I'm very lackluster in putting up a ticker, and I appreciate those who have helped us financially through Erudition and have allowed us to just bought a brand new camera, um, for because we have 3 different shows that we do, and it was directly because of the monies and finances that people have donated to Erudition. So please, please, if you can do that, it helps us. The lights. If I were to show you the lights and things that we've bought and the different things to try to make the program look better, but we this is a daily thing. It's an investment. The growth, the growth of Erudition is beautiful, it's astronomical. I do see it happening, and I do see us reaching people all over the world. But I think I'm gonna add, behind me, above my head here, it says Erudition Network for knowledge and understanding. But I think if I had to add another piece to that, it would be prioritizing his history plays a part in everything we do. I've told you all, biologically, we have a biological history. We have an intellectual history. We have a familial history. Every day is history. Every interaction with our children, every interaction with the world provides a history, something that has passed that we have to continue to remember to learn from. These great people in history are important. If you did not know about Queen Aminaris, right? If you did not know about Queen Taya, if you did not know about any of these people, and the only thing you had to think about with your history is we came here in 1619 under bondage, then you would not know the great things that were done. You would not know the wealth of our ancestors. You would not know the abilities and the things that are still available in African culture that are being taken by other cultures to grow. But we don't know that. We spend so much of our time looking at foolery. And unfortunately, because we keep getting caught in that foolery, We're not growing. The other day, me and my sons got into a discussion about math, and do we like math? And is math this and is math that? And I remember when I was a kid, they told us, they said you had to learn logarithms and you had to learn all of these complex mathematical theories because we're never gonna be able to walk around with a calculator on your hand every day, but you got a computer in your hand every day. And then I went and I tried to explain to people how this very device and the very device that I'm talking to you out of can be. It didn't come out of the mind of some white man, right? And that's not to be racist, that's to be factual. George Boole didn't come up with Boolean algebra, and Van Norman didn't take Boolean algebra to create the digital computer without the input of African math. And I told you how it was taken out of Africa into Spain. We've talked about how Hugo Sanitaria took that information from Islamic Africa, from going to go learn at the Islamic institutes, like those in Timbuktu, those in Mali, and he took that information and he took it back to Europe and they made it into something called alchemy. And then they took that alchemy and they turned it into geomancy. That's how they designed their temples and their cathedrals and their castles and everything else. And then another German mathematician named Leibniz, right, became aware of it, and he the ones and zeros from the African system. He gave them ones and zeros, and that became what we now call binary. We call that binary. They called it math. They called it universal understanding. And then how George Boole, Boolean algebra, Boolean logic, you all heard that in school if you remember, how he took that Boolean algebra based on what Leibniz took and put ones and zeros to. And it became computer-like knowledge because John Van Norman took that same Boolean algebra and he created it and made it into a program and created what is called the digital computer. And then you had other men who miniaturized it, made it smaller, but it does the same thing. We have taught and trained and taught and teach, and we do it every Thursday. I'm here every Thursday, and I'm also available. There's not one person, and I dare you, any of you who watch this later or any of you watching now, to say you have ever sent me a historic question that I did not answer. And when I answered it, I gave you a link, I gave you a reference, I gave you a place to go. One person contacted me and said, "Eddie, I just asked you this question 10 minutes ago, and you gave me more knowledge than anybody who I've asked this question to in the last 2 years." That's a blessing. That's not braggadocious. That's a blessing that we have been able to provide through the grace of God. I tell you all very often, there is no there is no person on here that I see every week consistently, factually giving you the information that we have given you. I received a thing a couple of weeks ago about an episode we did way back then where we talked about deterministic chaos. We talked about chaos theory. We talked about strange attraction. We talked about the butterfly effect. We talked about things that they were like, "Well, people don't talk about." We don't know that this is based on African history and theory and understanding. Nobody talks about that. I talked to you about solar installation and how Africa is essentially how man had to change the way he moved around and migrated because of it. Go back and watch. these 100 or so episodes that we've done. And I guarantee you, every time you open up an episode of Erudition, even if there was a technical problem, there was something that you're going to learn that I guarantee you you did not know before. And that you will walk away and with knowledge and a name or a place or something that if you chose to, you can go and dig deeper. The people of Kush were great, great astronomers before what you see in Egypt. Their astronomy and their knowledge of space and stars and everything else influenced the Egyptian and the Mesopotamian. And further, the math that we get taught, which is European based, whether you're talking about signal theory, which we've talked about, whether you're talking about astronomy, whether you're talking about biology, all of these things, there's historical basis in fact that we know of. How did the early people know to plant the early South Americans know to plant corn and beans at the same time in order for that corn, that maize to be able to be grown, and then to understand on a biological level that you just couldn't eat that by itself. You had to add something to it to supplement. This may not sound like anything to you, but this is important for us to know as we look at African slaves who came over here with their own knowledge and they shared that knowledge with each other. And so we've talked about African medicine. We've talked about what plants and flowers and things that the Africans knew you could use and that the indigenous people knew you could use and how they came together with that understanding. And a lot of our science, our pharmaceutical science and understanding is based off of their knowledge. There is a lot. There is a lot. I want you to share. If you take nothing from this program tonight, I felt like I got on a soapbox, but I feel like I needed to share. If it ain't you, if you're not financially help us to get the message out. Share the links to the books that we're putting out. I'm halfway through a second book right now, and I'm trying to encourage people to get that first book. If you bought that first book, send me your review. If you don't want to put it on Amazon, you don't want to put it on Lulu, you don't want to put it where you got it, send it to me directly. Post it in our page, in our Erudition Network group on our page. Let us know what you're learning, how you're growing, the investment of our time, because the testimony ain't even fully told to you all what we've had to do in order to continue to provide what we're doing because we believe that it is important. We know that is important. Tina can tell you her own. I can tell you mine. We fight through a lot of things, but we consistently try to get on here to provide the knowledge that we know people need. I asked my wife about 2 years ago. I said, I'm on here teaching history. I said, can you please get on and start talking to people about the things that you know that they need, how to live better, how to use take that psychology knowledge and that world knowledge that you have. And then I asked my son to come up with an idea of what they wanted to do to speak to their peer groups, as we saw more and more teen suicides, more and more, teen, fragility, more and more self-harm, people getting lost in online games, online, communities that were destroying them. Nothing in this network is done without a God-given purpose, without a God-given purpose. Every lesson, everything we provide, every I've seen my wife sit there a day before and painfully try to figure out what it is that she should talk about because there's so much to talk about. We are in a place right now where it is dangerous, and the Bible makes it very clear to us, if you are a Christian, it makes it very clear. They will perish from lack of knowledge and understanding. And it is not that they're not getting information. Information is not knowledge. Information is, if we were to look at it, and Eric's on here, if we were to look at it as a signal detection theoretical idea, it's noise. Everybody's talking, but only one person is factual. And you got to cipher and cut down all that noise or identify what is noise to get to the actual knowledgeable, factual understanding. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that noise out here where people are telling you that you can get to Egypt or get to Africa through the Grand Canyon, or people telling you that African Americans came from the stars, or people who are telling you that that aliens built the pyramids. All of these nonsensical things that are being put out here are noise. They're noise, and you can't get that clear signal. You can't get it because you're distracted by all of the noise like that. The bleed over. And it affects your psychological understanding, your spiritual, mental, emotional understanding because you're swamped with all of that noise. If I were to tell you something about Signal is just like this, because some reason I'm on Signal tonight. Signal is just like this. You have what is called your carrier. That's your major signal, right? That's your signal. The radio you see it has that RF, it has that carry what you put on it. So we have this internet, we have these networks, we have this media to put out information. That's our carrier. It carries the information. However, however, if we don't fine tune, right? If we don't get in there and say, hey, what is the information being put on this carrier? Is it something to jam our understanding, or is it something to grow our understanding? What information has been added? How many times are we receiving it? What's the frequency that we're tuned into? And over time, how has it affected us? Eric, I appreciate you being on here every week, and I appreciate your support and continue to do so. It is much appreciated. Natasha, I'm glad to see you were on. You slid in. Thank you so much. I do agree that most of the time we engage in escape. Ladies and gentlemen, I've gone over my hour. but I'm passionate with the idea that we have to do better. In this time of quick information, where, you know, a guy sent me a thing that I was on ChatGPT and I asked him a question about something that was in your book, and I was amazed that it was exactly what it is that you said, okay? But the difference is, are you going on ChatGPT or are you actually going to go pick up a book and study on your own? Are you taking the shortcut or are you actually trying to learn? We're here every Thursday, at least I'm on every Thursday. My wife's on every Monday, my kids are on Wednesdays, to provide a source of information for you, an escape from the humdrum, some of the sophistry that's out here, the foolery that's out here, um, and give you information, and, we're here to answer questions. I answer so many questions every week. I at least average about 10 people send me something every week, and that's fine, and I'm grateful to continue to do that. Um, but I want you to understand that when we do these interactives, when I do these sessions, um, they get hard, they get difficult. When I don't the top part of this is interactive. I want your input. I want you to interact with us. I want you to share, what it is that we're doing. I want you to talk to I wanna know that you're here. I wanna know that you got something from it, um, and that you're growing in your knowledge, right? You're growing. No teacher I had a great teacher, and I would say this, Imma get off of here. I had a great teacher, I wrote about it in my book, Miss Gibson, and when I met Miss Gibson, I was probably as a child, and when I wrote this, I said, "I'm pretty sure my mom doesn't even know this." I was at a very low point. I had been held back in school, going to a predominantly white school, and it had really disenfranchised me, and coming back to Chicago and having African American teachers, Miss Mitchell, was one of them too, and having teachers who made me have a sense of worth, but Miss Gibson probably was my favorite of all of them because even when I didn't want to do anything, she forced a very stubborn child to interact and to showcase that I wasn't, uh without knowledge or understanding. She pushed me to grow my understanding and my knowledge. She dedicated her time to recommend books and things for me, and that has greatly affected me throughout the rest of my life. Um, she encouraged me by telling me I wasn't an idiot, I wasn't stupid, I wasn't, ignorant, I wasn't any of these things that white teachers had said to me unbeknownst to my mom. I wasn't, without means. And when I think back, and I go and I look at where I am now, I've had some really great teachers and really great people in my life who encouraged me so that when I went in the Navy, even when I wasn't confident, that what I was doing was right, I made sure that I always paid back in teaching. And I look at the wondrous, examples of people who are doing so much, even those who think they're not doing a lot are doing so much better than they were, and I thank God for the interaction that He gave me in teaching and guiding and growing, um, these young men and women, and so teaching is something that I love to do. It is what we do on here. Information that we provide, I take it very seriously, and I thank those who need to take it very seriously. Everybody can learn. I think I posted earlier this week, it doesn't take a genius to know history, it just takes consistency and facts. Facts, which are stubborn. Please prioritize your history. prioritize your history. I see more of you came on later. Please let me know you're in here if it's your first time or whatever. I'm about to get off, but we always like to know who joined us, who's with us, even if it's just say, "Hey, man, I stopped by," like Natasha did, and let us know that you're on. It is something that we love to know because we want to make sure we're growing, right? The whole thing with this is to grow, and for the last hour or so, that's really what I've been talking about, growth. Let us know that you're with us. I know there had been some problems with Facebook. I saw that Teddy put that in there with it not recognizing people, but nothing stops you from saying, "Hey, this is Fred, hey, this is John," or whoever, Natasha, whoever, and we will definitely admonish you. So this last 2 minutes before I actually get off here, because I'm well over, I did 15 minutes over. Please let me know who you are. A quick roll call of who's in here with us today um, as we get ready to sign on off here. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. But I'll give you a couple of moments to do so. No, I'm not angry, Eric. I'm frustrated. And I hope that you did sense that frustration because we're in a very serious time, my brother. We are having multiple attacks on multiple different levels, and we're in a political um, timeline too. So the powder keg of this tapped in with the idea of the denial of our history. Because let me tell you something, with if certain people are able to get into office, and even the people that are in office right now, there's really no issue being pushed to stop the desecration of world, US, and Black history. So yeah, it has it creates a frustration that needs to be addressed. All right. Well, I guess nobody else want to let me know you're in here. That's okay. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Look, I hope you didn't take me as being angry per se, but more frustrated. The point is prioritize your history. Understand it is being taken away from you daily. Understand the attacks that we're dealing with. It is life and death. And start to share programs like this one and others who are trying to make sure we share some understanding and some history. We didn't do much of a lesson today. We will hopefully be able to get to do that next Thursday as we move into a new month and a new focus. But I wanted you to basically understand that we are here, we have been here, we will continue to be here, teaching and everything that we do. But we need everybody to prioritize because it will definitely help us to grow. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm sure my wife and my kids are happy that I will get it off of here. If you have any questions, as always, direct your questions to the Erudition Network, either through our YouTube or you may be able to hit us up on Facebook through the Erudition Network Interactive uh, group, or you can do it on our Erudition Network page. Additionally, go out if you haven't please get the Erudition Network, our new history book that was just put out. It is now on Amazon. If you go to the earlier part of this broadcast, you will see the page for it. And I may put the link. I may put the link in here real quick for you all who want to go to Amazon or Lulu. Um, to acquire this book because again it is an important book. It is something that I am very proud of, and I think that it will grow your knowledge in a way that a lot of books and things out here have not. So here you go. I'm putting this in here. I just want to make sure I got that link. That's the link for it. You can go on Amazon. You can get it if you wanted the ebook version of it. You can go on to Lulu Books. Um, and you can get it there. Let me put that link in here too before I get off of here. You can go to either one of these sites. I believe Barnes and Nobles will have the book by the end of the week, and you will be able to get it there also. But go out there, get that book, interact, learn, come back, give us a review, even if it's on our Facebook pages or you send me a chat or a message or whatever you do. Let us know how the book worked out for you, and let us know if it was good, if it was bad, whatever you want to say about it, and we will greatly appreciate it. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you again for your time, all of you all who are on here. There's some of you who are watching after the fact. God bless you. God keep you. Hopefully, God willing, we will be with you again. I will be with you again next week. Tina will be on. Before I leave to go off, Tina will be on Pastor Gibson's program tomorrow. Please go to the Erudition Network page, because I don't have the link with me directly right now. Go to the Erudition Network page and click on that link. She'll be on tomorrow for a program that they're having before Easter, and she will be a speaker on that program. Please tune in and support her, and our friend Mike Wiley is on there also, and also Pastor Gibson and his wife. They're also really good partners and friends of the Erudition Network. So we will put that on our pages again as a reminder, and we want you guys to tune in and support this great endeavor as we get ready to go into the Easter celebration. All right. Again, you all be blessed, and I will see you next time.